Go ahead, bud.
What's up?
Hey
Thanks
guys,
for
of
taking the time. Uh,
course.
y'all know the drill. Raise your hand. I'll just work my way down the line, and we'll start firing off questions. Michael, we'll start with you.
Hey there, Tomari. So your last game against Pitt was the game at Pitt 2 years ago. Do you feel like as if there's, unfinished business because you guys are so close to winning that game and it just kind of slipped away at the end?
Of course. I mean, it's a new team, new year. You kind of got to let go of the past, but you got to remember those scars. You got to have those and let that kind of sting so you come out with a whole new fury next time you see those teams. When you get in close situations like that, I believe it was double overtime. You got to be able to learn how to finish, and I think we've been able to do that. So I'm excited to see, how we close the game this week.
Thanks.
Of course.
Luciano?
Hey, Tomari, thanks for your time. Hope you're doing well. The defense has been playing really well so far, but going into conference play, what is the main thing you think you still have to improve upon as a unit?
Good question. Probably consistency playing our standard. We came out strong at the start of the season against South Carolina, so that's what we want to put on film, put on TV every single week. We can't allow ourselves to get comfortable. We can't allow ourselves to start feeling ourselves and things of that nature. So the biggest thing for us is just holding ourselves to a standard. It starts on Tuesday, goes into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so on. Those are just start on game day. It starts at prep, starts in the film room, starts here at practice. So everything we got to hold ourselves to a certain kind of standard.
Awesome, thanks.
Jeremiah?
What's going on, Tomari? I actually wanted to ask you about one of your teammates, Bo Atkinson. That was a name that came up a lot during the fall, and obviously he's gotten some reps so far as a redshirt freshman. But just what are some of the things that you've seen from him behind the scenes in practice?
Hard worker, very self-motivated. You don't have to tell him to go. You just point him in a direction, he takes off. He's worked, man. He's worked spring, summer, fall. He's earning his stripes, and that's what I appreciate about Bo. He never once complained about it being his time. He never once complained about this, that, the other thing. He doesn't get caught up in the outside stuff. He's true to who he is, and that's someone who just puts his head down and shows up every day. You don't have to tell him to do something. He's going to do it. And that's what I appreciate about Bo the most.
Yeah, and just as a quick follow-up to that, obviously him being one of the younger guys on that defensive line, what are some of the, main things that he's kind of picked up and has really been learning, from some of you guys that are more experienced on that line?
For him, it's been knowing everybody else's job when he's out there so we can have more chemistry as a unit. Something he's picked up is probably technique. He's always had a motor. He just needed to tweak his guidance a little bit. And so watching guys older than him, watching guys around him, seeing how they go through things, how they take on blocks, how they approach tackles and everything like that, that's kind of helped his game a lot.
All right, thank you.
Adam?
Tomari Fox. Hey, man.
What's up, my man?
I wanted to ask you, for all the things that we've talked about, I wanted to ask you about the switch to number 0. I forgot about that one. Like, what was the thought process from taking it to 56 to 0, and just what all went into that for you?
Honestly, we tried the appeal after everything happened. We looked into a whole bunch of different options, kind of similar to Tez in a way, and it just didn't shape out that way. And so going throughout the year, I kept hope, and I wasn't able to come back early. And so that I knew after that, I knew what that kind of did to my reputation a little bit. I knew that what that did to who I was as a person. And so I was like, man, it just feels like 56 is dead. And so I felt like I needed to come back, and it's something different because I'm really starting from ground zero, and that's how I felt. I had a new DC, things of that nature. He hadn't seen me play because I wasn't available last year, so I was really starting from scratch. It felt like I was new on campus almost. So that kind of inspired the 0 change.
It's a good answer. And just to follow up on that, yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Tez situation. Like, I mean, you are a guy who has a unique perspective on that. You know, some of these committee things, it sounds like exactly what you went through. I mean, have you tried to talk to him at all, or just at least, I don't know, you know, offer an ear or any, like, what have you communicated to him at all? Like, hey, I went through this too. Like, how has that been?
Yeah, we actually talked pretty recently about the whole situation. I told him I had just went through the same thing. Like, he was talking about, you know, he was expressing to me how he felt about the situation, his thoughts, you know. I was in the same position where, like, do I want to come out this year? Do I want to not? Now this happens. Do I want to stay? Do I want to leave? Do I want to try my chance at the draft? Like, when this is all up, am I going to keep playing? Like, so I just told him, you don't got to make a decision now. Just take your time and be you, because all those kind of things will weigh you down. I know it did for me, at least. And so we chopped it up, and I was just like, you know, keep your head high. We believe in you, and that's all that really matters. So while you're going throughout this process, you know, you'll find the answer that's right for you. It'll be obvious.
Thank you, man.
Of course.
Andrew?
Tomari, this time last year, you were practicing during the week, but not playing in games, and you were doing a lot of scout team stuff. What is the level of gratification that you have now, knowing that you're grinding through the week, but you get to get out on the field on Saturday?
It makes you appreciate it a lot. You know, you know, when they say you come out here and you get to do it, you don't have to do it. That's a real statement. I was definitely out here last year in a navy blue jersey on scout team. That didn't feel great, especially being a guy who had never been on scout team before. It was a humbling experience. So knowing now that the work I put in is, I have the opportunity to showcase. I'm very appreciative of that, because I don't want people to. It is not about anyone else. It's about me. But I'm just thankful that I have the opportunity to show people what we've been building here, what I've been doing. Everybody who believes in me, everybody who put faith in me, effort in me, you know, that wasn't for nothing.
Got a question about you guys up front. The pressure on the quarterback's been there more conventionally this year. You had a lot of the sacks in the first game. Second game was kind of awkward because the way they threw the ball. But even though you only got to the quarterback once the other day against Minnesota, you guys made a move. You put some pressure on them. What's been the difference for you guys up front to conventionally get more pressure on the quarterback?
One is confidence. Two, everybody's older, so, you know, guys are obviously getting better over time. Three, everybody's healthy right now. And four, teams just, I feel like we came into this season with a chip on our shoulder. Maybe teams didn't respect us as much, and so they want to try and block our guys one-on-one. You know, they want to just three-step drop back or go on shotgun and things like that nature, try and pro-style offense. And, you know, we've just been working every day. We had something to prove, just like every other team in this league. And so we showed up, and that's our goal every single weekend, to show what we've been working on every single day since the last game of last season.
Tim, if I can ask a quick follow-up on that. You mentioned older. I think it was the first thing you said. You guys have a lot of older dudes on defense. They're all over the place. 6 graduates and just guys are 22, 23 years old. Since you got here, what is the difference that you notice with a bunch of old heads on defense as opposed to what you guys have had the first several years since you arrived?
I think it's attitude. We talk about every day. We start at the meeting 6:30. We say we do a lot of good things, but we're not there yet. We leave plays on the field. There's food on the plate, still more in the tank. So I think the difference between when I first got here, maybe there's a lot of sour taste in people's mouths and things like that nature. You know, who's going to play here, who's going to play there. Right now, you know, our saying is the start of the defense is the defense, and that's true. You know, all thing that matters at the end of the day is a win. If everybody wins, then everybody's happy. So I think that's the biggest improvement with having a whole bunch of older guys, is that people really understand the value of winning. Everybody puts in a lot of hard work, but everybody doesn't get to win. And so that's something you really have to appreciate at the end of the day.
Sounds good. Thanks for letting me hog it, guys. Sorry for 3 questions.
Tommy?
Tomari, Coach Chiswick talked Monday about the rotation, and I believe you guys had 9 or 10 played on the defensive line. How important is that on the success you're able to have, guys being fresh and the reps? You know, Ruck's reps are probably a little higher than they should be or need to be. But how big a factor is the rotation and being able to be fresh when you're chasing these quarterbacks?
It's very important. When I first got here, there wasn't much of a rotation. There'd be like, you know, games where guys playing 60, 70, 80. Aaron Crawford one game at like 320 played 90 snaps and 6 overtimes at VT. So like having a rotation definitely keeps everybody else fresh. You're like, dang, like, did I even play today? And it just shows you the value. Like when you have a rotation like that, it makes those reps that you have even more important because you have to make the most out of them. And that's the whole point of everything. It doesn't matter if you have decent production in 60 plays because it took 60 plays for you to get that. And so if you cut that down, you have 20, 25, even 30, and you still have that same decent and good production, that looks a lot better. And when you have things like that, when you have a good rotation, everybody's competing to go back out. You know, who's up? Am I up? Is he up? And we're obviously all supportive of each other, but because we're all fresh, we all want to go at it. We're all feeling hungry.
The old don't count the reps, make the reps count.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about last year. You mentioned, you know, getting prepared and all. How big of a factor was it, the support inside the program that helped you get through that situation that Tez is sort of seeing now? You know, you guys can talk, but you had other people and you got a program that sort of wrapped their arms around everybody.
I'll put a huge factor. I mean, something like that happens, it's out of your hands, out of your control, and all you can wonder is, man, what am I supposed to do now? And they're like, well, just show up and keep working. That's what you've done since you got here. You know, you may not be able to show it on game day yet, but your time will come. And that's what we tell everybody, whether it's you're getting redshirted, whether it's you got hurt, whether you're in my situation, just show up and keep working and your time will come. I think that was the biggest thing for me and everybody in the building kind of showing their support, especially in the D-line room. You know, that kind of backing and things like that help you just show up in the morning. That once you start, you can get going, but it's the starting it part, the willingness part, and they definitely helped me with that.
Appreciate it, man.
Of course.
All right, last one for Tomari. Adam, wrap us up.
Tomari, AJ was talking about old heads. In 2020, when you guys played BC, you played this quarterback you're about to play Saturday night, Djokovic, which it seems like was a long time ago. I mean, what do you remember about him then? I remember that day he threw the ball a lot. And can you maybe compare and contrast what you and I guess Don played that day, Miles, you know, what you guys saw that day compared to what you think you'll see Saturday night? Like, what are the differences or the similarities, or how does it compare?
He's a big dude. You know, he's always been a talent. I kind of stay out of like rankings and social media stuff, so I don't know how he's viewed in that aspect. But you know, us up front have a high regard for him. He threw the ball a lot that day. He was diving people out, things of that nature. He led his offense well. Any quarterback, honestly, anybody you go out there gets, you got to respect and hold to the highest standard. So I expect when we go up there to Pitt that, you know, he'll have his best game. That's how you always got to look at it. You don't want to ever overlook somebody or things of that nature. He's here just like everybody else. He puts in work just like everybody else. And so just like everybody else, he wants to win. So I guess it's about who wants to win more on Saturday night.
Quickly to follow up, which has nothing to do with Djokovic. Like, are you the strongest you've ever been right now?
I think I'm tapping into my grown man strength. Yeah, it's very hard for me to lose things physically. You know what I mean? So I would say I'm probably the strongest I've ever been. Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to check. Thank you.
All right, Tomari, thanks.
Thank you, guys.